Good afternoon, teachers and students. Today, my tutorial video will be about the physical and mental conditioning in amateur rugby in Peru. As we know, rugby is a sport full of contact, and it's known for that. And I chose this topic um, because I am familiarized with the sport and also know about the lack of training and evaluation methods to better perform and um, give to the students in Lima a new opportunity to know a new sport. Um, this sport is being developed constantly with the help of the Peruvian Federation for quite a while. It would be about 5 years now, and I'm proud to say that it's been growing um, quite well and has been gaining a lot of popularity. So, um, my objective for today's video is to try and explain the needs to become a good trainer, to be able to train your students not only in the physical but in the mental also. So we would be looking at a steps of five series, that would be five, to show and tell about what are the steps that one coach needs to take into consideration while training a group of amateur people. Now, as I said, the course will be called Physical and Mental Conditioning for Amateur Rugby. Amateur rugby being for ages 13 to 20 or 22. Um, so let's begin. Um, Basically, rugby is centered about values, the values in a human being, the values for the trainer, the value of the group itself. The better values you have in your team would be the more disciplined and the more better behaved, the more educated and the more willing to learn group. All right. So we would have, as I said, a five-step program. The first would be education. The second would be the knowing of basic skills. The third would be strengthening. The fourth would be conditioning. And the fifth would be a technical and tactical training. All right. So, how do we define what is education? Um, Rugby, as we know, is a very complex sport. It's not only known for its contact, it's known for its respect, for its humility, for um, the popularity. The popularity has been gaining over the years. So, when we talk about education, we talk about knowing the sport. All right. So, it's very important to just let me clarify that during this whole process of this 10-minute video, we will be always mentioning the words measurement and evaluation because of two reasons. This would help us gather data, being systematic, being very objective, gaining scores to better know ourselves as coaches and better know our audience or our group of students as sports or as athletes. Um, and secondly, we will be making decisions based on these numbers. All right. So, as I was stating, let's start with the part of education. Education is basically getting to know rugby. It would be getting to know the laws of the game, which is very important and very complex in the sport. Education will be taken about in two ways. We will be educating players in the field as to know their roles, as to know their positions, as to know their functions as a team. So this would be a kind of a tactical education, and the technical education would be about the laws of the game. I said we would be performing quizzes. We would be teaching the rules of the game, teaching how to play, what are the penalties, what are the basic laws, how do you play it, what are the different modalities of playing it. So it's very important that this is an interactive kind of setting due to the fact that it would be very beneficial for the trainer, for the trainee. Um, the students basically would have a chance to get together as a group and try to get to learn these laws. All right. So the second and most most fundamental part of this training would be the second step. That's the basic skills. This is where a player will develop his natural skills for the sport, whether he likes it or not. We would see where he would lay down his functions in this game, where what role he would assume, if he would be a good player, a regular player, or just using it as a hobby. Um, Basic skills are very important because this forms the character in a person. It binds the group as one, which is very important in rugby. Basic skills basically lets you use new muscles. It lets you basically get a better coordination, eye, feet, arms, muscle, brain coordination, which is very important. It basically lets you know a simple notion of the game, know what you're getting into. All right. Um, Please keep in mind that we are always talking about values, and everything is about values in this game. So we have to be very respectful, very humble about teaching these players. So let's get back to it. The third step which would be strengthening. As we know, rugby is a contact sport, and I mentioned it again and so many times because it is important to be very self-conscious about the injuries that can take place in this game. So strengthening is a fundamental part of this game, and we have to teach ourselves what type of strengthening to give to players. I mean, it's not being always about big and huge in sports like this, but also being very quick, very agile. So we have to see the bodies of each player, see how they react to this game, and accordingly set basis to their strengthening program, which would help them avoid injuries, which would help them be stronger, which would give them discipline, mental and physical discipline, which would make them athletes, which would give them a physical endurance, superiority. Strengthening is a must in this game. And to add an additional point to this, a coach has to know his budget. I mean, if a coach is training a university team and he knows his budget and he knows if he can get a gym infrastructure or equipment for his team or any other type of aerobic or anaerobic equipment for the strengthening program, um, he would be liable to create a program for these players to see where they can better themselves. Okay, so according to budget and players, there would be a better measurement of these goals. Basically, the training program would be much more complete. It would be all round, completing each and every phase of the program. So then let's get down to the fourth point, which is conditioning. Conditioning basically states the fact that you have to keep a rugby player in shape the whole time, not only in the physical but in the mental, also in its education, the laws of the game, the basic skills. You'd be surprised how many professional teams just train and train their basic skills to repetition and repetition to basically get better with themselves. Conditioning helps you do this. Conditioning helps keep an athlete fit all year round, which is basically a type of measurement that rugby coaches have. So they would perform routine conditioning tests, say about 100 push-ups in less than 2 minutes, or 100-meter sprints, or basically 4 kilometer, 8 kilometer, 12 kilometer jogs to see how the conditioning ability is in a human being and is in the athlete. Um, Last but not least, we have the fifth step, which is technical and tactical training. Um, this is basically not only the laws of the game, but it considers profoundly the position of one player. It considers profoundly on the functions of one player. It it's profound in what how the team will play, the behavior of the team, the attitude of the team. Um, it would be also about getting to know the team and the captain of the team and how the team behaves within itself without the coach and with the coach, how flexible they are to change, how they can adapt to change new environments, the playmakers, what plays would they have, what tactical definitions of the team plays will they have. So um, to get onto this five step program, sorry, which is education, basic skills, strengthening, conditioning, technical and tactical, um, measurement and evaluation from the coaches, getting continuous feedback from the players, gaining comparisons between two players, maybe one who has a lot of absences and one who doesn't, and gaining accuracy on your method of training, which is so important. Um, a coach could ask his assistant maybe to just keep on gathering data and analyzing the performance and growth of each player, which is very important. Um, we should be systematic, as I said, very objective, have clear objectives for any season, according to basically the scores of each player, the scores of the team individually. Um, Coaches, as I said, should know about their budget so they can plan accordingly, plan to get new equipment, plan to see whether a player would need extra coaching in some areas, maybe in the strengthening, maybe in the basic skills. Um, as I said, all this is root of measurement. Let's say in the part of education that if we get test scores or if we give out a quiz to see how many people know the laws of the game, um, basically the lower students or the lower grade students will get new improved methods of teaching. So what I would recommend coaches also to do is have many programs. All right, so many programs to not overload the mental and physical ability of a player. As we always say, it's mind and muscle coordination, and there's a very important link to it, and we do not want to fatigue that. So I think a series of mini programs, maybe focusing on education first, later the basic skills, later we can move on to strengthening, etc., is very important for a player. Um, Last but not least, I personally think that the competence of a trainer plus the knowledge of him plus his attitude, the combined attitude of him and his students, the organization that he provides, the verbal and non-verbal communication leads to success in a group. And basically, if you have a very good captain at your hands, who can provide an ease to communicate this to his players, a role model, it would be much more effective, I think. So, finally, there's a five-step specific way to measure goals. The first is reaction, the second is learning, behavior, results, and the return on investment. Now, I will specify why I say return on investment. We start with reaction first, see the level of satisfaction of your players, see if they are happy or sad, if they're motivated or under motivated in their game. This will obviously have its result on the field. Second would be the learning, the conditioning, basically get constant quizzes, constant tests, constant physical mental tests to see the well-being of a player. Thirdly would be the behavior, their attitude towards their team, towards their coach, towards the game itself, the values that they have. Fourthly, the results, basically the statistic gathering of data, the completion of objectives, basically the performance and growth of players, even as a coach. And finally, why did I say return on investment? Because if you're going to train a team, you would know what your value is to the team, and it is very important to know these value in numbers. If a university is going to hire a trainer, they would want to know how well their extracurricular activities are doing, if student satisfaction levels are happy or are down, or if we're gaining more and more people getting interested into the game. So all these little numbers are very important to basically companies which are universities, so they can basically measure and evaluate their extracurricular program, the level of their coaches, the level of their students, etc. So I guess this is what has been the course that I would dictate to you. Thank you for listening and have a good day. Thank you.